Maybe someone could explain this AI to me, but I feel like if I only wait until the first peasant hits the warden, then cast it, the second warden is going to purge my water elemental. So I always wait until the second peasant hits the warden before I cast my water elemental, because otherwise it always gets purged. I kill my water elemental there because I can see with my peasant he's coming in harassed. I don't want him to get 42 EXP from killing that. So, well, I think I was going to creep this, but I'd probably go back to my town. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I keep selecting my AM, but he doesn't seem to want to come. So he's just kind of harassing peasants there. Sometimes, once again, I kind of messed up my orc build order. Usually, well, not really. I mean, I did the speed build altar thing, so I kind of did the best I could, but I should have built the lumber mill by now as well, but that's okay. Sometimes I replace my peasants, sometimes I don't. When I do the sky build order, if I only lose one peasant, I don't replace it, because I already, from the early lumber mill, and the quicker tech, I already have so much lumber at tier 2 that losing a peasant isn't that important. But this time, like, when they're killing my scouting peasant and I know it's going to die, I just start replacing it. So sometimes I replace it, sometimes I don't. It depends on the matchup and how much lumber I think I'm going to have or not have at tier 2, whether or not I think it'll be enough. It depends on a lot of things. But it's just kind of something. The only time I replace it is when I feel that if I don't, it's really going to screw me over. Like if I plan to expand at tier 2, or I feel like I just won't have enough wood in general at tier 2. Another thing is scouting farms. When to build scouting farms, when not to. Against orc, I don't like building them right off the bat. Like I won't make my second farm a far out scouting farm, because a lot of the time orcs do pressure me, and they just kind of don't let me creep. And if I have a scouting farm way out the range of my arcane tower and the rest of my base, they're just going to end up killing it. So I don't like building scout farms early against orc. Once I have sorceresses, I do build scout farms, and occasionally with my scouting peasant, like on Twisted Meadows that I just scouted him, sometimes I'll bring that peasant down and build one right outside his expo, so I know if he ever goes to creep his expo and possibly expands. I stole his little green there. I'm just trying to get a little EXP, staying near my base. Obviously his green is pretty near my base, keeping an eye on him. I just don't stray too far from my base early game against orc. It's too much of a risk. So, as you can see, 4 units low, that's 133 gold that he has to pay for. So, whatever. Yep, I'm just kind of keeping a harassment on him. How many foots to build against orc? Typically, I find I don't need more than 5. Orcs have almost no longevity. I mean, human foots don't have almost no longevity against orcs. So, I try and build as few as I possibly can. I mean, I like to be safe, but I don't like to build an excessive amount. I like to save that gold for sorceresses or whatever. What is it? 155 gold per sorceress, 135 per priest. And footmen are 135 or 130, I don't know. As you can see, once again, I sent a weak foot to go buy my hero. I see where his army is, so I'm going to bring my panda and try and spam some Breath of Fires, get some stuff low, and force him to use some salves. Steal a little gold from him. Oh, as you can see, I'm kind of worried about my panda getting surrounded there, so then I try and go for the surround on this forest here and screw that up. One thing, I was thinking about doing an audio commentary, what my next audio commentary, I don't know, a 2-in-1 on a bunch of small little things about micro, like tricks, like other things like having your settings in Warcraft, your audio, your video settings, stuff like that. What's good for at least what I use. And talk about things like custom keys, show some small tricks, like some things that make it easier to surround. Some other little small micro tricks and how to save units, stuff like that. So thinking about doing audio commentary on that. So if you guys would like to see something like that, tell me. And if you think it's a really shit idea, you can tell me that too. It's all about pleasing you guys. Kind of sucks. I mean, I should have been able to micro my peasants so I could get my second Arcane Sanctum in the back of my base. There, as you can see, I have a spot now, but it's no big deal. I mean, I knew where he was while I was building my Sanctums. I mean, he was near my army, so I wasn't too worried about him coming in and canceling it. As you can see, his stuff is low. I've just been spamming off Breath of Fires. Do another, try and pick off a grunt, which I don't get, even though I probably had good opportunity. And so he has to heal all those, you know. Once again, 33 gold every time I get an orc unit low. Did the same, once again, 2 sorceresses, 2 priests, sorcerer's priest, sorcerer's death. That's the order in which I train those things. Just letting my arcane towers go at him. Naga is kind of a common hero. Really, I don't suggest Naga for your orc users out there unless you meet a human at the tavern. You're both buying your... You see he's going to buy your hero. I mean, he's going to buy his hero. He's right there. You can just cancel your TC and buy Naga. Forked Lightning's pretty good AoE. I mean, Cold Arrow's pretty nice. Some orcs like using her. I don't find her that annoying unless like that situation I mentioned where we're both at the tavern and I buy like a Beastmaster or Panda and he buys a Naga and uses a speed scroll and ends up killing my Panda, you know, whatever. That's kind of annoying and it sets me back a little bit, but really more than anything, a TC or a Panda gives me a little bit more trouble. So yeah, I think TC is better than Panda, by the way, for orc as a second hero, though I have been screwed a few times with Panda second. Anyway. So I'm just kind of creeping now, you know, I mean, I know that he had some weak stuff, he had to go heal, and it takes a while for salts to work, so I'm not too worried about a creep jack right now, even though he does have raiders. So I'm creeping pretty, you know, kind of big stuff. I mean, not really, I'm in a mercenary camp. Now I'm going to go clear my merchant. I don't know if I already did, but, you know, constantly, especially against orcs, I'm really afraid of stuff like wyverns, so I always, try and remember to send peasants constantly to their town to make sure that they aren't building too bestiary, or to make sure that they don't have wyverns, and to check for things like if they expand. This game he does expand, and I believe I try and scout his base, then his expansion of the peasant, but he ends up cutting it off. The easiest way to do it is to invis your militia. Call to arms something and then invis it and send it to his town, then his expo. I also could do my little backpack invis foot thing. I think it's a good idea. Whenever you plan to creep, honestly, it's a small little trick, but I think it's pretty damn annoying. Just research backpack, 50 gold, 20 lumber, something like that. Get invis quickly, and then invis any foots you have left over, or at least invis a foot you have left over, and try and find his army. This allows you to keep track of where he is where he is, what his army is, what he's doing, and obviously if he's expanding, and you can steal units. If you steal items. If you steal an item with a backpack on it, doesn't take it out of invis. So occasionally I'll steal something awesome, like I'll steal a true shot aura, or, you know, whatever. Or something really sweet like the amulet spell shield or something. Done that a couple times against undead, and I was like, oh yeah, unukable MK. Ruined bracers, I'm not sure if I sell them, but I think I should. Hopefully I do. Yep, I do. Try and sell any items you plan to sell before low upkeep. That time I sold them right before I went into low upkeep, because anything you sell is affected by upkeep. Again, I think I mentioned that in one of my other audio commentaries, so that's important, because otherwise I'd be getting whatever 70% of that gold instead of 100% or 200. But the reason why I got rid of Ruined Bracer is that he doesn't really, I mean, he has Forked Lightning and Chain Lightning, those are his nukes. I'd be a bit more concerned if he had Coil and Nova. I mean, yeah, then I'd be like, oh yeah, Ruined Bracer for the win. But against AoE spells, I don't really find it that helpful. I'd rather have that additional breaker, or that additional heal score I can get from selling the Ruined Bracer. And obviously if I got something like Vamp Aura and I have an all-ranged army, screw it, I'm selling it. Any Gloves of Haste you get, agility items, whatever, put them on Panda. Sometimes I sell like agility like small things like the ogre strength gauntlets and the slippers of agility and the mantles of intelligence. So, you know, if I get like 4 of them and whatever, I'm thinking, well, I'd prefer to have the 200 gold, but that's up to you if you'd rather have the stat boost or the gold from it. But sometimes I do sell them. Like, I would consider selling my slippers of agility if I was still in no upkeep. Because, yeah, the only thing they add is a little bit of like 0.9 armor and a little attack speed boost. But when you, obviously, once again, I do not go Drunken Haze for reasons I explained earlier. I just don't think it's worth it against Orc, and also I don't do it against Human, really. I mean, it's not a bad idea against Human because of the density of casters. But for the most part, I think just spending all your mana on Breath of Fires usually ends up in more damage than you can get with Drunken Haze. And Drunken Ballers are a pretty nice skill. So you can get a pretty pimp panda sometimes, like a couple of +9 claws, a couple of gloves of haste, and a ring of protection. It's like, okay, yeah, this panda's gonna rip some ass, man. Yeah, that's not a badass term, is it? Ripping ass like Barney or something? that's kind of stupid. Okay, rip apart some ass. There we go. So as you can see, I scouted his main and his expo with a peasant, and my peasant is down at his expo. So I decided to build some towers there, and while towering his main, caught me off guard with scouting. I kind of pissed at myself at this point. I was thinking about TPing, but I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna see what kind of damage I can do with Blizz Breath of Fire on his wyverns. I don't know if he had a heal score or not, but I felt like more damage should have been done to his wyverns by now. I didn't see him cast one, but maybe he did. Oh, he has a bunch of yellow and red stuff, so I'm just trying to see maybe I can kill some stuff with Breath of Fire. I was going to build 2 towers. My original plan was, had he had an old ground army, I would have tried to get towers up in his main while building towers in his expo, which would end up killing all of his peasants. So the game would just be over. That doesn't really work out. Yeah, my Archmage is a little low there, and Naga had over 100 mana, so I was totally aware of the fact that he could Fork Lightning me, especially since he didn't have slow on him. One thing though is I did destroy his shop, and I know I have a bunch of crap red, or most of his stuff is pretty low, so I know he doesn't have a shop right now unless he built one in an obscure place, and so he's going to be low for a while. It's always, especially with the strategy, if you attack their base, target shop first, because even if you end up having a TP or you kind of lose the battle, they won't be able to heal for a while. Right now I know he has an expo, I know he's pumping whiffs, I don't have any AA yet. I'm still kind of pissed at myself. You know, I mentioned in one of my previous audios that anytime you don't scout, you allow your opponent that opportunity to surprise you, and when you do that, you're just giving them the game. I mean, this really screwed me away. Had I known he had whiffs, I would have just built like 5-6 hawks, and I would have won that battle absolutely no problem, but instead I screwed myself. Anyway, I know he has double my economy, and I don't have AA yet, so I have to slow him down somehow. Nice thing is, I have level 2 Breath of Fire, level 2 Blizz. It's time for Burrow Rape, man. I mean, this is a Burrow Raping combo. And he's got his burrows in a nice position for it. So I kill 4 burrows, and I get the heck out of there. And as you can see, I'm building hawks. Once again, I think hawks are better than rifles. For many a reason. Really, actually rifles could have been a good idea in this situation. Another thing people may be asking is, why aren't you retraining the Blizz to Water Elemental? First off, I'm kind of strapped for gold right now. I don't want to spend 300 gold just to get Water Elementals, so they really do help against air. And Blizzard does hit air, and you can target it right and do some serious damage with slow to wyverns. And if he does decide to convert to a ground army, I can really kind of screw him up. One thing is, if you switch to his perspective, he doesn't have crap for wood right now because he's spending it on his expo, and he's 25 food below the army that he has, so he can't really even afford wood-wise to build burrows right now. So that really works out for me. So in a situation like that, I just knew I was down economic disadvantage. I can't allow him to mass too much air since I don't have enough econ to equally mass anti-air. So I knew I had to slow him down by taking out burrows so I can get enough anti-air to take him on. I know obviously he's just going to go over there and kill my hawks, no problem. But the thing is, I knew that that would put him in a perfect position for Blizz Breath of Fire, so